Hello, trading has closed on the 12th of January 2024. We always do our disclaimer first, then we'll go over our calls and make some predictions. Markets closed on Monday the 15th for MLK Day. It's my trading plan for Tuesday, which is the 16th of January 2024. Please remember I can be wrong, trade at your own risk. Also for the next month I have a lot of personal business. I'm going to try to post every day. I'm not going to have as much time as I would like to analyze things, and I probably won't be making a lot of trades since I won't be available to close them out if they go against me. So I'm going to be risking a smaller amount of my own money than usual. Doesn't make me wrong, just bear that in mind. Called for the pattern today with the early high, and next Tuesday will also be the pattern with the early high. We had a target 47.6134. We said unless we gapped up smartly, that was favored to print. We gapped up smartly, calls killed before the open. We had mixed, and that gets added to the list. We had mixed signals. We said the commonest thing was a gap and a prompt move outside the day's range. We got that. Next most common is the close little change. We got that. And when you close little change, typically there's a big move the next day. And if it continues to work, we'll have a big move on Tuesday. This is just what we said. These are the chart patterns I expect to see next week. During the day, MEJT said this move was false, wouldn't stick, so we'd retrace, and we did. Well, the DeMark signals, about a few weeks ago, they gave signs the market was overextended on the upside. This overextended condition has to work itself out. It can work itself out over price by dropping, or over time by consolidating. It looks to me as though it's worked itself out over time by consolidating. We had a strong move coming into this signal area, and my expectation is a strong move higher is going to continue. Doesn't mean we can't go down on Tuesday, but I think this is just a consolidation after a strong move up. Well, today was the day when a change in trend was possible. If you get a change in trend Tuesday at the open, it won't change anything. It means if we have a gap and trap by gapping up smartly and then dropping, it would still be in tune with this. But that's a possibility. I'm not claiming it has to happen. But I would be aware we could have a gap and trap. This really isn't a very favorable pattern. Once again, we break out to a new high, can't hold a new high at the close, and can't even hold intraday highs. That's a negative pattern. It's a rejection of the highs, but it's not really finalized until you maintain a close over this low, under this low. And the whole pattern idea is killed if you maintain a gap over these highs. So it's a negative pattern, but it's not confirmed, and it could still be killed if we gap up and maintain the gap. So how likely is that? Well, here's the 1x1 Gann fan line. When we reopen Tuesday, it's 1x1 around 48.18 cash, and that's the old high. Now, I don't know how we're going to open. We could open way up. We could open way down. But if we open right at 48.18 cash, you've got resistance from the 1x1 Gann fan line. So if we open there, if that happens, it could be a scenario for a gap and trap, meaning it could reverse. Here's the wave count if we hit 48.18. you have this A down, you would have an ABC, and if red A is 61.8, red C would be 100, right at 48.18. And if that's an A and that's a B, if that's your A, B, if that's your A, and C is equal to A, that's right here. If we gap up to 48.18, the waves balance. Now, just because the waves balance doesn't mean it has to hold. Doesn't even mean we have to hit that level. But if we did hit it and stalled, we'd probably get a reversal based if this is the right count. Now, if it is the right count, you've had wave 1, we would have a wave black C, the complete wave 2, and then there'd be a strong wave 3 up. And if that's the right count, black C would have some kind of fib ratio to black A, and that's not that much of a drop. So we have a scenario which isn't forced, but which is possible, where we gap up, hit the old high, have a modest drop, and then be off to the races on the upside. I can't say it's the only way to count this, but it's a way to count it. And if it starts to play out, I would stick with it. If we gapped up over the old high, that's a breakover resistance. We probably keep going up, and this count gets thrown in the circular file. I'm just not so certain you're ready to break out to a new high from this level quite yet, but I've been wrong before. I would really like to see a wave black C, even if it's small. Well, Tuesday's pattern has the early high regardless of where we open. This week we've repeatedly broken to new recovery highs but have failed to maintain a close over intraday highs. It's a negative pattern, be vitiated if we were to gap, promptly break over the high a day and maintain it. If we can't do that, I think we'll see lower prices Tuesday regardless of where we close. Now the volatility index and NASDAQ McClellan oscillator, they're on buy signals. If the figures I have for the equity-only put-call ratio are correct, we have a strong buy signal from that indicator. Yesterday's figure was so off the wall, I'm still in the back of my mind wondering if it's real. But if it's real, that's a strong, reliable buy signal, even if it isn't a pinpoint indicator, and even if it doesn't tell us where we go Tuesday. This ratio says there are far too many bears. Everyone's calling for a double top here. I think if we were going to top, we have plenty of time to do it after the DeMark signals. It does not require us to rally immediately, but it implies a very good bottom is near in terms of time. One possible, and I'm capitalizing the word possible, scenario would be to gap up Tuesday, find resistance at the old all-time high, have a modest pullback, and then stage a very strong rally. My wave count still needs a retrace of some sort to be correct, but it implies any retrace will be mild and short-lived. Of course, it's possible my count's wrong. That's always possible. I'm going to continue to take this one day at a time, and that's what I think about Tuesday. We gap up and hold it, or we trade lower. But if we gap over the all-time high and maintain, it's quite positive. There are just too many people calling for a double top in this area for me. We're stalling at the highs. I still need one pullback to have my count right. It doesn't have to come from right here. It would actually make a prettier picture if we re-challenge the old all-time high first, even though we're probably close enough. That's not many points away. But after what I think is a mild pullback, possibly after a rally first, but after a mild pullback, my count says we're going to be in wave 3 up. So I'm not as negative as a lot of other people are, even though I do think we could trade a bit lower to complete the count, but I don't think we're going to collapse here. I think in the scheme of things, we're still headed much higher. And that's today's call.